welcome to Alpha Morning Show. Of course, you are watching SSBC live from Juba, our city's capital. Viewers of SSBC, wherever you are across South Sudan, today we are trying to actually look at peace and reconciliation is our topic, and this is what we are going to be discussing. And we've got a special member from the Transitional National Legislative Assembly who will be with us shortly to discuss issues to do with peace and reconciliation. Actually, he is an expert. He is none other than James Cook Roy, who had served this nation for quite long, though he had been hiding in the media, but then at least he got a lot to tell us on peace and reconciliation on behalf of the Specialized Committee on Peace and Reconciliation in the Transitional National Legislative Assembly. He had been also a revolutionary in the system of the ruling party as SPLM. He served a lot, being also a humanitarian minister, served South Sudan during the repatriation of South Sudanese from Sudan to South Sudan. I think pleasure having you with me on board, Honorable James Cook Roy. It's been a while not having you with us, but I think in this hiding today, pleasure having you with us on board, and that citizens are eagerly wanted to hear from you outside, and I think you are there for them. I might have not taken full introduction about you. I think you'll be able to first tell us who you are in your hiding in a short while. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, in 1 minute, I might have not introduced you fully. Maybe you'd be able to tell us what you do at the moment, because all we know, you are serving the nation right here today in the Transitional National Legislative Assembly as a member of a specialized committee on peace and reconciliation. This is what we know, and you have served a lot. And looking at actually serving as a governor during the 32 states in Panga County, I think that would be, take a floor in a minute.
Thank you, SSBC, for having me. Let me correct, I was not in hiding. The Bible said in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, there is time for everything. So there is time to appear, and there is time also to disappear. So I'm available.
Pleasure having you.
Thank you. First, that is my name, James Cook Roy. I'm a member of the SPLM from the inception of the SPLM in 1983. I've gone through many hurdles and difficulties of the liberations.
Right.
But finally, I choose to be a peacemaker. During the liberation struggle, I established an institution which is now working in the government or in the Republic of South Sudan, which is Peace Commission. I started as a reconciliation at the regional level in Upper Nile, then it come to SPLM Peace Desk, then SPLM Peace Commission, and South Sudan Peace and Reconciliation Commission. So I was the first chairperson of the Peace and Reconciliation Commission in 2006. I was appointed on the 21st of June 2006 to head that commission, which was my baby, I say it, because it was established by me during Dr. John Garang. Then I have done many reconciliations, which I will talk about later. Then from there, my leadership appointed me as a Minister of Foreign Trade in the transitional government of national unity during the interim period. So I served in Khartoum for 2 years. Then 2010, I contested geographical seat of Fanga constituency number 1 in Jonglei State. So I succeed. And then during the formation of the government
of national unity
of Southern Sudan by then, after the election, so I was appointed as a Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management. So that ministry was established by me. And then from there, after independence, I went back to the parliament. I stayed in parliament. During 28 state, I was appointed a governor of Fangagi State. As from there, I served. Then when I got a leave, I stayed until the reconstitution of the parliament, in which I went back to the parliament. So I'm now in parliament in Peace and Reconciliation Committee. So
great. That's your take. You had been a great revolutionary, served this nation as having a spirit of nationalism and having being also recognized as a true nationalist that deserves to have that. What do you do at the moment apart from the member of committee in spearheading this Peace and Reconciliation Committee?
At the moment, I'm just a member of the committee, and I'm the chairperson of the subcommittee in our committee dealing with the report of RGMEC. I always be the one who write or analyze the RGMEC reports. So in the committee, it depends on the context.
Now you are in the Specialized Committee on Peace and Reconciliation, James Cole, on the Transitional National Legislative Assembly. What is your role as far as peace process is concerned and reconciliation, being an expert in that field?
You know, it depends on the context. Many people confuse between peace and reconciliation and ask question, which one comes first? Is it peace or reconciliation? It depends on the context.
Great.
One, if it is war and conflict, then there are process and procedures that you follow. For you to have peace first, you go through transition. From the transition, now you will begin to carry out reconciliation so that you restore the broken social fabric. This is at the level of conflict. When it comes to dispute or quarrel, reconciliation can be done at different level. If I quarrel you, someone can come and reconcile us. Okay? And then we make peace. So reconciliation becomes first. Reconciliation also can be done at the different level. You have reconciliation at the grassroots level. For instance, community to community, we call it people to people peace. Okay? This is a different level. Then there is also kind of reconciliation at the political level. This one you do it through dialogue.
James Coth, you talked of quoting something from the Bible quotes. Does reconciliation start by you and peace, personally, or is through gathering that will make it a full reconciliation, though it, because sometimes may not come from your heart, and okay, let it go, peace and reconciliation.
As I stated before, reconciliation is necessitated by the conditions in which people are required to have a reconciliation. And I said, if the country or community has been going through conflict or dispute, this is where you will start to look for reconciliation, because you wanted to bring back people who have differed, who have quarreled, or who have fought among themselves. So reconciliation is actually a task that is carried out in a different method. One, it can be through meeting, one-to-one.
But does it come from your head that you have to reconcile?
If you are not willing to reconcile, then you cannot talk of reconciliation. It is a willingness of the two parties to talk so that they forget the past and open a new page. That is why they say, let's reconcile.
Now, you are an expert in that field. Does it need a confrontation, or it needs diplomacy?
You need to approach the parties to that conflict in a different form or in a different environment, and begin to make what you call amicable approach to them.
Why not within,
as an mediator?
Why James Cook, Ray, why not within your country? Why not within your house? Why not within your family to reconcile before others intervene?
And this is what I said before, reconciliation has different level. It can be between individual, family, community, and also society or a country. And I stated one method is through a meeting. The second, through a conference. The third, through dialogue, like what we did here.
You are an expert, of course, James Cook. You are an expert in this field of peace and reconciliation. Looking at the context of South Sudan today, in many countries you have traveled, is this happening? Is South Sudan one of the countries that always reconciliation and peace building amicably always solve in foreign countries?
We have done this even during the liberation struggle. We have done it in a different level. One, through NNCC, you know NNCC.
Right.
We have what we call people-to-people peace, and that conference is known as Wunlit Conference, who reconcile two communities, the one of Bargazal and one of Western Upper Nile. We did it also in Jonglei, in a place called Lilir.
Mm-hmm.
We also did it to political leaders. We did it between Young Machar and Dr. John, between Dr. Lama Cole and Dr. John, between Dr. Stieblius Wuchang and Dr. John, and then between General Salva Kiir and Paulina Matip. So it has been something that we have been doing, even here. This reconciliation has been happening, and this is what I told you before. It depends on the context.
James Cook,
is it a war, a conflict, or a normal?
It has never been easy in this reconciliation of having these great, tremendous leaders, looking at them, bringing them together. You have formed a commission that is for truth and healing and reconciliation in existence today. What is the role of that, looking at the challenges that is going through in place?
You know, you need to go back, resolve the conflict through negotiation.
Negotiation.
You reach peace agreement. you effect the transition. And then during this transition, you implement some of the institutions or some of the provision of the peace agreement, like Chapter 5 in the revitalized peace agreement that talk about Commission of Truth, Reconciliation, and Healing. Then Reparation and Compensation Authority. Okay? When you talk of this, it is falling within the implementation matrix, which is lacking behind. Of course, we have passed the law, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission laws has been passed, but the implementation is not yet.
Honorable,
and it has not been carrying out, including the dissemination of the peace agreement.
Honorable James Cook, you have served this nation for quite long, and in this field you have got a lot of experience looking at the young people. The politicians and the masses have got differences. They got to always have that tendency of knowing that whenever there is a conflict, politicians have interests on their way, that, giving it a simple example, that there's ongoing peace agreement at the moment, which is Tumaini. And on the process of Tumaini, citizens have a high hope of expectations in bringing peace. Meanwhile, there is still fire burning down over there. Now politicians are taken as, I would put it as not telling the truth, dancing to the tune of the system on their personal interests. What do you have to say on that?
You don't just say politician. This politician must be in context of their political parties. They are not individual. If you talk of South Sudan, you have to go back and look at the situation that we are in. We are implementing the peace agreement we signed by political parties. And these political parties are struggling to implement the peace agreement. For a reason, the implementation has been difficult. And some of the chapters.
It has been difficult. What could be the mechanism into that?
Just hold on. It has been difficult for so many reasons. One, that there is no resources, according to RGMEC. There is no political will, according to RGMEC reports, and many other things. So when you talk of the implementation of the peace agreement, you look at all of this holistically. Is it from the transitions phase 1, which was supposed to be the security arrangement implementations, which amalgamate the forces together, which have not been done. The only thing that the parties have done is the formation of the government, and they are still struggling. All the chapters are there. Some have been done here and there, like the drafting of the laws of the constitution, making constitution has been passed. We passed so many legislation, but the implementation is yet to take place.
How far are you with Chapter 2?
Chapter 2
on the
security arrangement. The first phase has been done. People are struggling to make the second phase so that Chapter 2 is complete. And up to now, people are struggling, and you know the.
Great, I think we will.
The situation of the country.
We will continue with that, Honorable. Let us try to look at the role of the social media on this context today. Social media is playing a greater role in the societies, tarnishing the image of the country, looking at this prosperity on peace and reconciliation, bringing steps from here and there, dissemination of information that actually touching the citizens into either we are going forward into prospects and looking at the same time on actually high hopes. Do you have something to say about that?
You know, there is a misunderstanding in so many quarters. Sometimes people say there is no free expression in the country, there is no freedom in media, but South Sudan is open. The social media are everywhere, even damaging the image of the country, because TikTok, Facebook, and name them.
To mention but a few.
Yes, and they have been talking.
Twitter.
They have been talking. Some are saying things who have not happened. Some are saying truth, some are saying lies. So this is part of human being. And this country is an integral part of the international community. So we have nothing to do about this. But the matter is this: government who is in form of transitional government of national unity is to make sure peace agreement is implemented, and when peace agreement is implemented, the rest follow. Okay?
Then peace prevails itself. Viewers of Alpha Morning Show, if you're just woken up, if you're following us with this program of Alpha Morning Show, we are bringing you this program. You can follow us live right here on the social media as we are discussing on issues to do with peace and reconciliation. Wherever you are, you try to be following us here in the studio with James Cook Roy, who is actually a member of committee from the Peace and Reconciliation from the Transitional and National Legislative Assembly, trying to actually elaborate more on peace and reconciliation. Let us go for that short break, and we will be right back as we continue with the rightful person to bring us the rightful information, who is none other than James Cook Roy with me in the studio. Stay with us, don't go away. Welcome back from that short break, viewers of Alpha Morning Show. Wherever you are following us from the social media and live from SSBC right here, we are still here in the studio with James Cook Roy, a specialized member of a committee from Transitional National Legislative Assembly with me in the studio. Also being an expert, I think he will be able to tell us more on how as we're looking at this pace that we are trying to check on Tumaini. And Honorable, you are an expert. You are in the field of peace and reconciliation. Can you briefly tell us something on the ongoing Tumaini peace agreement?
Thank you. To my personal knowledge, Tumaini is an initiative initiated by His Excellency President Salva Kiir as a result of long negotiation that has been going on in Rome. There has been negotiation with the whole out group and non-signatories. But the president decided to bring it closer to the region. And he trusted his younger brother, Ruto, president of Kenya. Mm-hmm. And this is where Tumaini initiative came about.
Would you tell us the progress of Tumaini as far as it's concerned at the moment?
Just hold on. Tumaini is actually, the meaning is hope. Tumaini is Arabic word. What had been happening is that there has been negotiation and some protocol
elements.
Some protocol were signed, and those protocol was signed by the first delegation, and in the context of presenting this protocol to the leadership of the country, it was found that there are some contradictions between the protocols and the revitalized agreement.
Great. You have touched something a little bit that I was going to ask you this. How different is Tumaini and the revitalized peace agreement? Could you try to?
You know, if you go back, first the original agreement is access. Okay? When access was difficult to be implemented, it took 2 years for people. And then when people reconvenes again, they said, let us revitalize it.
To continue, I think...
and then from there, just hold on. From there, I want to make a connection. I want to make a connection, Sora, because you can't ask a half question. Access is the original peace agreement that was signed in 2015. And then it was revitalized in 2018. Okay? Now, Tumaini is an initiative made by the president of the revitalized transitional government of national unity.
Right.
Get it.
Clear. You continue from there. Listen.
I want to educate you.
You will continue from there. Look at the stakeholders that you did mention. Looking at actually the LGMX, and looking at the stakeholders, the IGAD, and looking at also there are many members who are actually came into this, and you talked of challenges that goes through into this Tumaini, and looking at the revitalized peace agreement, and you are telling me there are a number of challenges that they are there to support and have an upper hand into the success of this.
I just want to educate you and want it to bring you into sequence. Okay? First, the original agreement was signed in 2015. Then we had 2016 conflict in Juba. And then after that, it goes for 2 years. Then people said, let us revitalize access. That is why it's called R-access. Okay? Put in a new spirit. Okay? And then in this revitalize, a government was formed. And the president of the government of revitalized transitional government of national unity took or made an initiative for those people who are outside also to be part. So now there is something that you need to understand. One, this Khomeini is an initiative of the president of the revitalized RT Gono, okay? Then there is a whole hour group and then signatories. So the purpose is to bring everybody on board to come to South Sudan or to be part of the peace agreement. But Khomeini had a different approach. They are saying it has been difficult to implement the revitalized agreement. Why don't we usher in a new hope, okay, which can make or which will make the peace agreement to be implemented. And this is where people are not understanding, okay? This new hope to revitalize agreement, there they have made some attempts by saying that the areas where there are difficulties of implementation, why don't we just hold on.
It has become a phenomenon. It has become a phenomenon.
No, you are jumping. You don't need to understand because you asked a very fundamental question, and I want the viewers to understand.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Because now there is contradiction. Some are saying Khomeini is a new agreement. Some are saying Khomeini should be either an addendum or an annex. This is where the argument is.
Clarify.
So the context and the purpose or the concept is that we want peace by any means. Okay? Remember, the revitalized agreement is signed by political parties. Okay? SORO, OPP, IO, and SPLM. Okay? Now, this group are the one talking to Khomeini group there, or talking to all-out group. Now, the question is this all-out group have a different approach apart from what is in the revitalized agreement? And this is where the argument is. So, in my own understanding, if there are areas where there has been difficulties in an agreement, these are the areas that people should talk about. And this is what they say they collected them and put them as a protocol. But here, the parties to revitalize agreement are saying no. Khomeini should not have an independent opinion as a new agreement. It should be part of the revitalized agreement. Now, in politics, the word opposition is opposition. Whether you are inside or you are outside, you are an opposition. Okay? Now, this group, they become an opposition to the government of South Sudan. Okay? And in the government of South Sudan, there are also opposition to SPLM. Just hold on. To SPLM, because IO is an opposition.
And OPP is an opposition. The revitalized peace agreement is another obstacle to Khomeini. Look at this context. Because now, Khomeini is going on. Issues to do with the revitalized peace agreement are not accomplished. And are you looking at Khomeini being a final peacemaker as with the holding groups?
You know, when you talk of negotiation, who bring peace? It's government. Why government go for negotiation with rebel or with dissident? It's because government have an obligation. Government have an obligation to create stability, peace,
To the masses.
and tranquility to the people. Okay? If Khomeini can bring the whole out group, and there will be no any opposition outside, and all the opposition should be inside, why not? If Khomeini can do that, if all this can come in, this is what we want. We want everybody to come to South Sudan and be opposition within. We don't want anybody to carry guns and attack people.
Honorable, I think you should be knowing those who are out holding, not inclusive in Tumoini. Is it of their personal interest,
No,
or is it because...
the call of the government is that everybody should be in Khomeini, and they are all invited.
And what is the interest of the rest that are holding out?
Maybe this is the reason that known to them, but the government have offered an opportunity for them to come and express their grievances.
Fine, Tumoini would come and bring peace into to the people of South Sudan. And actually, it is already ongoing and bringing peace into the people of South Sudan. Now, looking at the outholding people, do the government of SPLM has that initiative or an agenda for looking at the outholding to bring them together into the system, being a ruling party, and to bring peace to the people of South Sudan?
I intend to correct you on that. It is not SPLM who is negotiating. It is the revitalized government who is negotiating. So the people who are negotiating in Nairobi, they are all from the political parties to the agreement, not SPLM. So it is the government that is negotiating with the whole out group. SPLM is just only having representatives. So when you say the SPLM government, this is where, you know, using terms is also a problem. We are being called IG, which means SPLM in government. Which government? The previous government or this government? This government comprised of all the political parties. We are SPLM, not SPLM IG. Maybe SPLM IO, because this is a name we give them during negotiation. There are opposition, but when it comes to who were really looking for peace was the SPLM. Okay? But what is going on there in Khomeini is not SPLM, because Kuala Manyang is jeopardized by Port Kangwi is an IO. Then the rapporteur is Martin Iliau, is coming from, how do you call them?
Democratic Party?
No, not Democratic, National Agenda.
National Agenda something.
Then Lama called from SWA. And then Albino, attack from OPP. So it is the negotiation being done by the political parties to the agreement. So the question that you need to know, and the audience or the viewers need to understand, is that there is a couple oppositions. One, the Khomeini group will be an opposition to the government of South Sudan. And when they are inside here, IO, OPP, and name them, they will be opposition to the SPLM. So which one now? That is why I'm saying the definition of opposition is the same, whether you are outside or inside. Otherwise, your question would have been right. If the initiative were to be taken by the SPLM as a political party, because those guys who are outside were originally members of the SPLM. And that is why we initiated the reunification agreement, which is Arusha.
Honorable, Tumaini is ongoing with an aim of bringing peace to the people. Who will be accountable to the outholding group? Tumaini, the government of the Republic of South Sudan, as far as that is concerned, or to iron out all to do with the revitalized peace agreement?
If the whole would sign an agreement with the government of revitalized government of transitional government of national unity, then the whole out group will be an opposition to the government of revitalized. Okay? They will be, because when they sign the agreement with the government, then they become an opposition to the government. And inside here, there is an opposition to the SPLM. So there are so many categories of opposition. We shall come and see.
Honorable James Cook Roy, you had served this nation for quite long, and you got a lot of experience in this field of in your political will and your career as a member of the Specialized Committee for Peace and Reconciliation. You had served as a governor. Well, let us come to this point. You had also served as a Minister of Humanitarian Affairs those days, repatriating South Sudanese from the Sudan. And you played a potential role that actually thrilled the people of South Sudan. Looking at the current situation today, we're still undergoing that situation. What is your take?
The situation is complex. Sudan is at war. South Sudan is at war. So you have to manage and mitigate the situation. We have refugees, influx of refugees coming from Sudan. And South Sudan is struggling for implementing its own peace.
Domestically. So
South Sudan system. Also, we have not repatriated our people since the 2013 war. Our people are still in
internally displaced.
And there are some who are in the internally displaced, like this camp, who is in Juba, who is in Wau, who is in Bentiu, who is in Malakal, who is in Bor. So these are internal problems that our government is facing. And the war in Sudan have affected us.
Let us look at it domestically. What does it mean to the people of South Sudan on the refugees in it displaced internally? And you have an experience being holding this
it is different from situation to situation. It's different from situation to situation. 2010 or 2010, 2011, 2012 are quite different. But if you start from 2013, South Sudan have got enormous challenges. We have internal displaced people. We have refugees, people who have fled out of the country. And we are still living pocket of insurgency. People are still fighting even though we signed the revitalized agreement. So our government is struggling to make sure that a comprehensive peace is achieved so that stability return to the country. About the refugees coming from Sudan, Sudan have also been hosting our refugees during our war.
Now,
we are one people.
Now so that honorable,
it is our moral obligation
Honorable Morally, now South Sudan is a member of a United Nations organizations, having many UN agencies looking at the stakeholders, the UN, the FAO, we have the UNHCR, and looking, what is their role as a stakeholders with the government?
They are doing that job. They have been supporting. They have been supporting. That is why we are able to settle the refugees in those locations. The UNHCR is supporting. The other United Nations agencies are supporting. The international organizations are also supporting. The indigenous NGO or national NGOs are supporting. It's just because the need are so huge and the scarcity of resources, having in mind the war in Ukraine, the war in Gaza, the war in Sudan,
Israel, Palestine,
and all this has actually made the United Nations to have difficulties in providing funding. So we are like any other country who is in crisis.
Now, what do you have to say, looking at the people suffering? We got an issue in Upper Nile, an issue of the floods that is affecting people, on the humanitarian help that needs actually drastic measures just have to be taken. People are displaced, and looking at the floods, people hanging out and even nowhere to sleep. Finding them become a problem, this flood issue. Do you have something to tackle on that?
The person who is talking to you, I'm villageless. My area is flooded. We are displaced. Even I have to evacuate my mother. Our people are scattered. And there is no any solution that you can give now, because flood are connected with the climate change.
Now you have touched you have talked of a
the humanitarian are giving
very good point.
There is no
James Honorable, you being a member in the Parliament, a honorable member and a post-holding position in a transitional national legislative assembly, you are supposed to be on a recess. Where do you go for recess?
I have nowhere to go for recess because my village, the villages that I should be visiting, are flooded, and my people are displaced.
Displaced? Are they not within the neighborhood that you can visit them and talk to them?
To different counties. So if you want to go to those different counties, you need permission by law. So if my people are in different counties, so unless I have to take permission to that government for me to go there, because they become the citizen of that location.
They have become villageless, homeless.
Yes, the people who have died themselves in small places, it is also very hard for me to reach them.
Now you are representing. You are representing them. You are supposed to talk to them.
I'm representing them.
Now,
I'm representing them, but I have no resources.
You have no resources. What could be the mechanism? You are representing them in the parliament. You are there for them.
No,
were you just appointed, or you are there because of them?
It's not just an effort of individuals.
Great.
It should be a collective effort.
What could be the mechanism on your own behalf? What could be the mechanism? Because now your people are suffering and they are here.
How many months
you are representing?
How many months you have not been receiving your salary?
Salaries have not been received. It's a collective responsibility for the people of South Sudan.
It is something which is known. Even when the honorable members were given a recess, they were not given the recess money that you can use for you to get into your constituency. So it's something that you forget about it. The situation that we are in is known, including the people whom you represent. Because if someone calls you, I need airtime, you cannot give, because you don't have. So it's something that everybody is aware of, and it is a general. And nobody to be blamed.
James Cook, you have to work with the humanitarian agencies. What is your call on this critical moment, looking at your people suffering? You representing your people in the Transitional National Legislative Assembly. You got a lot of experience in service delivery and looking at the same time what you are today. People in the grassroots would say James Cook is in the city and he's representing us. And we are here, this place, have nowhere to sleep, homeless, nothing to eat, and
I wish I have resources on my own. I would have provided my people. But unfortunately, neither me or my government. So the situation become unbearable. We are only appealing to humanitarian organization to give what you call relief. Relief is something that you get it today, and maybe you may not get it tomorrow. So we are helpless.
I think this is the final question for you, James Cook. You had worked for a humanitarian agencies are looking. You served people in your ministry by then, and you had served also as the governor. You played a greater role. You are revolutionary from John Garang's regime to the system now, the ruling party, none other than Salva Kiir, the president. At the moment, as we're talking, you are still dancing to the tune of the ruling party. Let us look into the issue of the vulnerable people that are really, South Sudan being a member of a United Nations organization, the drastic measures, has become a phenomenon to the people of South Sudan from.
You know, any government has got its own policies, its own visions, and its own program for its own people. People of South Sudan were not looking for their independence to be served by UN. This is something that we must get into our mind. Nobody who is there to be served by organization forever. You must think of what will make you a nation, people who are respected, people who are living on their own.
People who have integrity.
First, this issue of humanitarian support to me is a temporary. We got to plan and have our own way to live. And the only way for us to live, even for us to revise or to make our economic growing, is for us to go for production. We have to go farming.
Agriculture as a subsistence.
We must go farming. For you to be a citizen that is respected across the border is for you to produce your own food.
Patriotic and true nationalist.
You must be self-reliant. A sustainable country must come from its own people. And John Garang said, poor people have a poor government. Weak people have a weak government. If you don't produce, where else would things come from? They cannot fall from the
Honorable
sky.
James.
So we need to work.
Honorable James,
So the
following the division.
Just let me conclude. The call for our citizens is for us to go farming, whether traditional farming or an advanced mechanized farming. This is the only thing that will bail us out of this situation.
Honorable James, looking at the ruling party, one of the vision of the ruling party looking at actually taking towns to the people, to the grassroots. Do you have something to say about that?
There is misunderstanding. The vision of taking town to the people, they thought maybe it's just for people to go and erect town. No. Is taking services to the people so that people does not migrate into urban areas. That is the meaning. So, by doing this, take all the services, let the county have education, hospitals, electricity,
good
clean
roads,
drinking water,
clear
roads,
infrastructures,
all this. Now you have taken
towns to the people.
Town to the people, because there they will not be thinking of coming to their state capital or coming to the national capital. All the services who are in the capital are there with them. So that is the meaning.
Thank you so much, James Hoth, James Cook, Roy, for having you with me on board in this program of Alpha Morning Show. I will really appreciate that so much. And for the rest of the viewers following us on social media, and at the same time looking at actually your role being a member of a specialized committee on peace and reconciliation today. Viewers of Alpha Morning Show, we have come to the end of our program. That was James Cook Roy, who was actually with us in the studio for the last 1 hour discussing issues to do with actually the peace and reconciliation as a member of a specialized committee from the Parliament National Transitional Legislative Assembly, elaborating more on peace and reconciliation. Let us continue watching the rest of our program. We have come to the end of our program. My name is SORO David, your usual presenter on Alpha Morning Show. And Alpha Morning Show always brings you your programs always every Tuesdays 8 to 9 and Thursdays at the same time. Continue watching your national broadcaster as we say bye for now. Thank you.